Hello people! First of all, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch my video. Hopefully it's gonna be like a fun and educational video. In this video I kind of want to share my build of how I built my sorceress, why I choose certain skills, why I choose certain tripods, so you get like a better understanding of how I built my sorceress. With this video I kind of want to achieve that you yourself take your time also to create your own playstyle, but to build your own sorceress also. Because as you have noticed, if you search through the whole web, you could not find like identical builds. Every build has like their own unique points and skills and tripods because everybody has their own playstyle. So that's my goal for today, to make you kind of take your time to make your own sorceress. So let's start. I'm gonna show you my skills first. Okay, let's start with the first skill. It's called Blaze, the perfect sorceress skill in my opinion. It's good and useful for an igniter sorceress, but also for a reflux sorceress. Let's go through the skill description first. Of course, Fuzz. As you can see, it creates a rectangular flame forward, dealing damage. And it's up for 5 seconds. The cooldown is 10 seconds, without in calculation the gems or your relic set. So if you have like nightmare set, it will lower the cooldown by a lot. Let's start with the first tripod line. The first tripod will be Ignite. This is a good tripod for PvP in my opinion. For PvE I will not use it. For PvP, why? Because it puts a constant tick damage on your opponent. Even if you only hit the flame area for like 1 second on your opponent, the tick will take effect for 5 seconds and your enemy gets burned for 5 seconds. That's a lot of damage overall. The second tripod, Damage Amplification, it's a good one. This is actually the perfect PvE tripod in my opinion. As you can read from the description, on hit, damage of foes from all party members plus 6% for 8 seconds. But don't forget, it also counts for yourself. So it also amplifies the damage from your own skills. Perfect in my opinion. The third tripod, Mind Enhancement. Well, do you have mana struggles? Yes? Okay, take it. You don't care about the damage that you do? Take it. But in my opinion, worthless. Especially for Blaze. The second line of tripods, Charge Flame. Skill can now stack up to 2 times. It's a perfect PvP skill because it gives you like more opportunities in like a few seconds to hit your opponent, considering your opponent is like a moving target. It's not standing still. It's not like a Trixion boss. The second tripod, Flame Expansion. It's good for PvP and PvE because it creates a bigger flame area. So the hitbox is way larger of your skill. And it amplifies the damage output by quite a lot. Very good for PvE, but also useful for PvP because you confuse your opponent because they see like a big area of flames. So they're like, where do I go? I have to walk around it. So you're like disturbing the movement path of your opponent. The third tripod, Blazing Wildfire, well, it changes to point mode. Point mode skills are quite hard to land. You have to time them, you have to predict how your opponents are moving. Yeah, I will not choose this for PvE because the damage output is also lower considering with flame expansion. For PvP it can be good, but keep in mind please to CC your opponent first before you use this skill. If you don't do it, I hope you're like a Giga Chat, because if you're a Giga Chat you will land this of course. Okay, the third line of tripods, weak point detection. The first one is perfect for every boss that you encounter in Lost Ark in this game, because it says damage to push immune foes plus damage. Well, all bosses are push immune, so it works on all bosses. Perfect damage skill, so always have this one. If you're like a Chaos Gate enjoyer and you do nothing else than only grinding Chaos Gates, and in this case I'm talking to bots who are like 24/7 in Chaos Gates, this is the perfect skills for bots. So yeah, for the regular player, no, don't take it. Let's talk about the runes. The perfect rune to fit Blaze, in my opinion, is Bleed. Why? Low cooldown. And as you can read from the skill description, it puts bleeding on your foes for 6 seconds. So if you have like the relic set, it will lower your cooldown around to between 5 to 7 seconds. So the bleeding will be constantly up. Now I will preview you the skills that I have chosen: damage amplification, flame expansion, and weak point detection in a skill preview. And afterwards we move on to the next skill. Okay, let's start with the second skill. It's called Rhyme Arrow, a pure damage skill. Depending on the tripod you choose. You can also use this in PvP. It gives good damage, but it can also give some certain CC abilities. Let's start with the first line of tripods. The first one's Chill. This is pure CC because it lowers the attack speed of your opponent and the move speed. So yeah, if you like PvP, you choose this one. The second one, Enlightenment, specialty meter gain. Not good for Reflux. Well, if you want to keep blinking, then it's good for Reflux. But it fits an Igniter Sorceress way more because then you can like fill your meter bar way faster, so you can go into Rupture mode faster. The third tripod, Quick Prep. This one is perfect for Reflux Sorceress because you lower the cooldown even more. Next to your relic set, Nightmare of course, if you've chosen Nightmare, but you can also mix your Nightmare with Dominion. It lowers your cooldown way more. And yeah, like it said, lower cooldown, so you can spam it more. The second line of tripods, Piercing Strike. I picked this tripod because they can ignore the defense of your opponent. So it means more damage. You can use this also in PvP. The second tripod, AoE radius plus 20%. I would say pick this tripod only if you really have trouble to hit your opponent. Only if you have trouble to hit your opponent. I would really suggest you to pick this tripod. Because even if you have like Piercing Strike and you don't hit your opponent, you miss out on that damage. So this tripod can be good if you have trouble hitting your opponent. Same counts for PvP. You can use it also for PvP. The third one, Tenacity. During skill use, grant push immunity. Yeah, sounds like a PvP skill, but you could use it also for, let's say, for example, Fulton. If you want to clutch certain situations, you can use Tenacity. The third line, let's start with Ice Pick. Ice Pick, a pure damage tripod. Good in my opinion for PvE. But you can use it also, of course, for PvP to increase the damage. The second tripod, Frost Barrage, changes your skill to normal mode. Rhyme Arrow is a point skill. That means that you have to double click the same button to activate your skill. Of course, make sure your mouse pointer is on the right area where you want to land your rhyme arrow. Or you can press it one time and then with the left mouse button to activate it. Changes to normal mode, I would say, yeah, but it gives you lesser damage. So regarding lower damage, I would say no. I will pick Ice Pick over Frost Barrage, only because Ice Pick has a higher damage percentage that's being added to your current damage. Which rune do I suggest? Well, for Ice Pick, for my build, I picked Judgment because I mix this with a different skill in a certain combo, so it activates my Judgment. Because on a different skill I have Conviction, and I use that other skill first, and then I use Rhyme Arrow. But you could also pick like a different rune on it. For example, Specialty Meter Gain. But you could also put Stagger on it. Why Stagger? Because if you hover over it, the Stagger is mid-level. So yeah, for certain bosses, if you want more Stagger, you can put the Stagger Overwhelm on it. Okay, let's start with the preview for Rhyme Arrow, and then we move on to the next skill. Let's talk about Seraphic Hail. A good skill also, in my opinion, especially for Reflux Sorceress. It's kind of comparable with Blaze, but you don't have like the area of flames that's like laying on the ground to annoy your opponent or to constant hit your opponent. What does this skill do? It's like push forward a line, like a wave towards your opponent. It's like the moment it like collides with your opponent, the damage activates. Let's start with the first line of tripods, Mind Enhancement. Well, mana cost speaks for itself. Only use it when you really struggle with mana. But yeah, with the relic set, especially Nightmare, please don't choose this one. The second tripod, Quick Prep, perfect for Reflux, because every Quick Prep tripod is perfect for Reflux. You can keep spamming skills because of Quick Prep. Enlightenment, perfect for Igniter, just to fill the meter way faster, so you can go in Rupture mode. Is it good for Reflux? Only if you want to keep blinking to the moon. The second line of tripods, Wide Angle Attack. Good for PvP. Good if you have trouble missing your opponents. Yeah, good for when you really have trouble hitting your opponent. The second tripod, Additional Explosion, it gives like a CC because it knocks the opponent like back. Good for PvP. I would not choose this for PvE because the total damage added on it is lower compared to the third tripod, which we're gonna go through now, Evolved Hail. Evolved Hail, like you'll already see, it gives like a higher damage percentage. So for Reflux Sorceress, I would choose Evolved Hail over Additional Explosion, pure because of the damage added on. The third line of tripods, the first one is Weak Point Detection, speaks for itself. Perfect for Reflux, but also perfect for Igniter because of the damage, pure because of the damage. The second tripod, element is turns from water into fire and it knocks the opponent down. Good for PvP, for PvE, no. Good for PvP. Because it also adds like a tick damage for 5 seconds. The enemy gets burned, so good for PvP. Which rune did I choose for Seraphic Hail? In my case, I choose Rage. Why? I will explain it like Yeah, I will explain it to you. Why? Because your skill already has like a low cooldown. And as you can see, chance of attack plus movement speed plus 16% for 6 seconds when skill is used. Chance to receive that bonus on top of all the other bonus that you have, which makes you move way faster, attack speed goes up, everything goes up. So it kind of gives you like a moment of 6 seconds that you're like very fast and you attack way faster. Attack speed also influence like casting skills, so the casting skills go way faster. So I would really suggest Rage, purely because Seraphic Hail also has like a low cooldown compared to Blaze. On Blaze I put Bleed already, and Bleed, yeah, perfect to keep on the Bleed stack. Okay, I'm gonna preview Seraphic Hail now first, and then we move on to the next skill. Okay, now we have come to a very exciting skill, Punishing Strike. A big dick damage skill in my opinion. It offers like quite a lot of diversity of how you can use this skill, because the tripod gives like certain changes to the skill. Let's go through the tripod so you have like a better understanding what this skill can mean for you and which tripod fits you the best. The first line of the tripod is Paralyze. Perfect for PvP in my opinion, because it offers CC ability, of course with a percentage of 15%. The second tripod is Mind Enhancement. It reduces the mana. Only pick this tripod when you struggle with mana. The third one is Wide Angle Attack. I've chosen this one personally for my own build, because it offers more leeway to hit the skill, because the hitbox of Punishing Strike is quite thin. And it fits the next tripod that I'm gonna go through with you. The second line of tripods is Unavoidable Fate. It changes the casting skill to normal skill, and it is a direct forward line. So match this one with Wide Angle Attack. Yeah, it makes it more easy to hit this skill. The second tripod is Electric Discharge. What does this do? It first lands like a lightning explosion the moment you're done casting, and then afterwards it will explode again to put a thick damage on your opponent. Good for PvP and PvE, I would say. The third one is Destruction. It slams the lightning for 5 seconds on the designated spot, so you create like a hitbox area that keeps having lightning strikes hitting on it. It's good also if you can keep your opponent in check for 5 seconds on the same spot. So yeah, for bosses like Vicus, time it well if you have this one. The third line of tripod is Magic Amplification. This one is good for Igniter Sorceress, but you could use this also on a Reflux Sorceress if your crit rate is not high enough. So if you're like, for example, a pure swiftness Reflux Sorceress, then I would suggest this skill for your build. The second one is Final Strike. Perfect for Reflux Sorceress with high crit rate. Keep this in mind. Okay, which rune fits the best with Punishing Strike? I personally put a Veld on it, just to increase the stagger that I output on my opponents. Because if you hover over the skill, it offers a high stagger rate. You could also use like other runes on it, for example, like Focus, so it reduces like the mana. If you put this one, then you don't need to worry about your mana usage. Then you don't have to yeah, use mind enhancement. So if you struggle with mana, you could either choose mind enhancement or you could put the focus rune on it. If you're like yeah, if you have not choose unavoidable fate, I would suggest Galewind is also like a good choice. Okay, let's preview Punishing Strike and then move to the next skill. Okay, now we have come to Frostcall. Frostcall is a holding skill. That means that the moment that you're using this skill, you're like holding your button constantly. You cannot move, you cannot cast any other skill. So it's like kinda a prison skill in my opinion. But with certain tripods, you can change how you use this skill and you can change the prison ability. So you don't get imprisoned, so you can move around freely. Let's start with the first line of tripods. The first one is chill. Chill, as you can read, attack speed minus, move speed minus. It's a good PvP skill. The second one is mind enhancement, mana reduction. Yeah, use this one if you don't have nightmare set and you struggle with mana. And the third tripod is enlightenment. It gives meter bar. Good for Igniter, of course. Every meter bar skill is good for Igniter, so you can go faster in Rupture mode. For Reflux Sorceress, yeah, very good to go to the moon with your blink, so you can keep blinking, quite good. The second line of tripods, the first one is Rule Enhancement. What does it do with Frostcall? It changes your Frostcall from a holding skill to an area skill. So you just have to press Frostcall one time. You don't have to hold the button anymore. You just press it one time. And for like 5 seconds, it keeps raining down icicles. So it's like you can compare it with a dot damage so long your opponent stays in that certain area. The second tripod is Unstable Rule. What does Unstable Rule do? It changes from holding to normal. So you put down like a bubble and the bubble will eventually explode after 2 seconds and it will cause damage. It's good if you're like having the doubt that you cannot keep your opponent in check for like 5 seconds compared with Rule Enhancement, because Rule Enhancement does offer the highest damage output, but the con is that you have to keep your opponent in the same place for 5 seconds. With Unstable Rule, you don't need to have that worry of having, hey, my opponent has to stay there for 5 seconds, but it's like 2 seconds. And then, yeah, it's good for depending on what kind of build you want and if you have trouble to hit your opponent, of course. The third tripod is Insight. Skill use distance plus 2 meter. AoE range plus 30% and damage plus 45%. If you read it like this, you think, wow, that's a good tripod. But keep in mind, it will keep Frostcall in the same holding skill, which means you need to keep holding your button. The third line of tripods. The first tripod is Enhanced Strike. I would say if you have a low crit rate, so like a pure swiftness Reflux Sorceress or an Igniter Sorceress, then this is the perfect tripod. But if you have a high crit rate, like my build, then Final Strike tripod fits your build way better. Let's go to the runes. For Frostcall, I've chosen Conviction. Briefly, my explanation. Mix with Rule Enhancement is perfect, because so long the opponent stays in that certain area, it keeps raining icicles down on the opponent for 5 seconds, and every icicle can proc Conviction. So the rate to have Conviction up to proc it is way higher during the 5 seconds. And if you match this one with Rime Arrow rains down icicles, multiple ice arrows, as you can read from the description. But if you and you mix it with judgment, it can proc judgment also way easier. That's the reason why I've chosen Frostcall and Rime Arrow for the conviction and for the judgment. Okay, let's move to the next skill after the preview. Okay, now we have come to a very fun skill, Doomsday. It's exciting. It's also like a difficult skill to land. It requires some skill. So if you have trouble to landing your skills, first of all, I will not suggest you to take Doomsday, because it's more difficult to land it on your opponent. Let's start with the first line of tripods. The first one is Ignite. It gives a dot damage. A dot damage, yeah, will be perfect for PvP, but like I said already, Doomsday is a skill base skill. I will not suggest it in PvP itself. But if you choose it for PvP Doomsday, then Ignite is a tripod that you kind of want to use. The second tripod, Mind Enhancement, Mana Reduction, yeah, only use it when you struggle with mana. The third one, Insight, it gives you the opportunity to cast Doomsday from a further range. But yeah, I don't think this one is quite useful, because I myself have not encountered a situation yet that I want to cast Doomsday, but I'm too far away from the opponent. The reason why I've chosen Ignite is purely because of the added on damage, the burn. The second line of tripods. The first one is Flame Area. It increases the meteor fall speed. Quite good, quite good. You can use this on your Reflux Sorceress, but also on your Ignite. It leaves behind, that's the only disadvantage, it leaves behind the meteor for 3 seconds, and after that it will explode and cause an extra damage on top of it. The second tripod is Asteroid. It makes the meteor that drops down do more damage, but that's it. There's no after effect. That's the difference with the first tripod of the second line. There's no after effect. The third tripod, Overheated Meteor. I've chosen this one purely for myself because it outputs the most damage in the end, so long you can keep the opponent in the same area for 2.5 seconds. It will offer the most damage output. Because of it is the highest damage tripod, that's the reason why I've chosen Overheated Meteor. The third line of tripod, Magic Amplification. Everything with Magic Amplification is purely an igniter skill, but you can use it also on a Swiftness Reflux Sorceress if your crit rate is not high enough. The second skill is Final Strike. Like I mentioned before with Punishing Strike, my crit rate is quite high. That's the reason why I have chosen Final Strike. Which rune do I mix with Doomsday? I've mixed Galewind with Doomsday because it makes the casting way faster. Okay, let's preview Doomsday and then move on to the next skill. The next skill that we're going to talk about is Esoteric Reaction. It's a point skill. What do? You deploy a big crystal. The crystal will expand from level 1 to 3. It will become bigger and bigger, and at the end it will explode, causing huge damage. Let's go to the first line of tripods. The first one is Insight. It just increases the range of casting. Quite useful for PvP. PvE, optional. It really depends on what makes you comfortable to play your own sorceress. The second tripod, charge MP. On hit, recharge MP, and shockwave, it also recharge MP. I would say quite useful before 1445, the moment that you don't have your nightmare set yet. The third tripod is quick prep. It reduces cooldown by seconds. I would say really good for Reflux Sorceresses. Why? Because in the end you can keep spamming it. You will be nuts if you don't choose a quick prep for like a Reflux Sorceress. For the second line of tripods, the first one is Enhanced Strike. If you have low crit rate, I would say perfect. Choose this one if you have low crit rate. The second tripod, Jungle's Law. Well, if you're a bot and you lock yourself up in Chaos Dungeon, I would say go for this one. Perfect for in Chaos Dungeon. And the third tripod is Final Strike. Crit damage. Yeah, perfect if you have high crit rate percentage. For the third line of tripods, the first one is Stabilize Crystal. It creates a big crystal instantly at phase level 3. So you skip phase 1 and 2, and after phase 3 it instantly explodes. It skips 1 and 2. So you instantly create like the biggest rock and it will explode afterwards. But it does not have the highest output of damage. The highest output of damage is Shockwave, the second tripod of line 3, because it will keep expanding, but as you can see at level 4, it already like increased the damage by 96%, which is a lot compared to Stabilized Crystal. Which rune did I match with my Esoteric reaction? It is Quick Recharge. You can also put like other runes if you want, but for my own choice I chosen Quick Recharge. Quick Recharge has a chance of cooldown times minus 12% when skill is used. Since I have Quick Prep, I kinda can spam it, so yeah, the chance to make Quick Recharge proc is quite high. Now I will preview Esoteric reaction, and afterwards we will move on to the next and final skill of my build. We've come to the last skill. It's Squall, the perfect counter skill for sorceresses. If you want to counter even more, put a few points in quick prep. It lowers the cooldown. And yeah, you can even solo Fulton if you wish to with it. Now we're done with all the skills. We have talked about all the skills. And now we are gonna talk about how did I distribute the points, the stats on my sorceress. So we have like a good build, how I built mine Reflux Sorceress, how much crit you need, how much swiftness you need. We will be talking about the engravings and the gems, so you have like a good point of view of how I build it. Okay, let's go. My sorceress is running a full set of Nightmare. What you could do also, if you don't want a full set of Nightmare, you can also use 4 pieces of Nightmare and 2 pieces of Dominion. The disadvantage of doing that is that if a fight prolongs and it takes too long, you're gonna lose the bonus effect of Dominion in the end. Because to keep up the bonus from Dominion set, you need to keep using your Awakening skill. And as you know, in a fight, you only have a limited amount of uses of your Awakening skill. How did I distribute the stats on my sorceress? As you can see, I'm having 1466 crit on my sorceress, which is good for a crit rate of 52.46%. I have 739 swiftness, which is good for 12.7, to round it up, 12.7 attack speed, move speed, and reduce the scale of my cooldowns by 15.9% to round it up again. Which is quite good, because if you look at the total, you click details, you see I am having almost 80% crit rate. My attack speed is 112%. My move speed is 112% also. Which engravings am I using on my sorceress? I'm using Precise Dagger, Crutch, Keen Blunt, Cursed Hole, and Reflux. You might think, why is he not running Adrenaline above Precise Dagger? Well, it's because I'm El Cheapo. I want to keep my build cheap. I will explain more about it in the next video that I'm making. How to make an ultimate cheap build, but also a build that can compete with meta builds. For the gems, as you can see, there's nothing special about it. I don't have a level 10 gem. I'm not a big wheel. The highest gem that I have, unfortunately, is a level 9 cooldown gem on my Punishing Strike. I'm running Blaze damage because Blaze already has like low cooldown. So yeah, a cooldown gem is unnecessary in my opinion. For Rhyme Arrow, I'm running a damage gem and a cooldown gem, so I can spam it even more. For Esoteric Reaction, I'm already using the tripod and the cooldown is quite low, so I'm running a damage gem on it. For Punishing Strike, I'm using a cooldown and a damage gem. For Seraphic Hail, I'm using a damage gem because yeah, the cooldown is also very low. For Frost Call, I'm using also a cooldown and a damage gem. For Doomsday, I'm running also a cooldown and a damage gem. And for my card set, I'm using the crit rate set. But the moment when I have 18 crystals of this card, then I will switch to this card, which means my crit rate will be lowered to, let's say, 73%, which is still decent. That's it. That's my build. Why did I choose these skills? Because they fit the best in my synergy. And why Doomsday? Why one casting skill between 7 normal skills, to say it like that? Well, that one casting I can use to weave it in, so I have like constant and high damage. And also it's a good range skill. You can like pre-cast it, for example, during a Valten fight. When Valten comes down, you can pre-cast it during all different fights, so you will have like high damage burst always. If you have any questions, please leave a comment behind in YouTube with your question, and I will come back to it as fast as I can, so you have like a clear vision of what you want to achieve. And if you need help, just leave behind a comment and I will try to give decent advice that will help you build your perfect sorceress. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and yeah, enjoy my next videos to come in the future. Bye bye.